I think we got to the RSCGG. I'm starting the stream now. All right, awesome, it is. Hello and welcome to the semifinals, I think, of the RSCGG between Final Esports and Cetra Gaming. I am Contractor here with my co-streamer, co-caster, Squid Chilling. Did I hit no on that invite, or did it just not load?
I don't know what you did, but I also got kicked from it. I think they might have just started.
No, they didn't start, but I didn't make it into the lobby.
Neither did I. Well, this is fun.
Oh, he said final. I have to change the colors on this one too. I hate this. He told me the wrong sides the first time. So sorry everybody that's watching. It's gonna take me an extra second to change the colors. Oh, and the sides of this because they are actually on the other sides in game. Cetra over here.
I can't invite, Colin. You have to use the code.
Oh, I have to use the code? Okay. Give me 1 second then. Where did I put this? Alright, Shilling, the code is...
I gave it
He
to
sent it
okay.
to me.
Awesome.
And what's the name of the game?
Yes.
No, you just go to tournament.
Oh, yeah.
There's like
Okay.
a little like trophy up in the corner that you can go to. Yeah, there you go.
Alright, and spectate. Awesome. Sorry for everybody. He told me like 5 seconds. Okay, he told me like 40 minutes beforehand, and then said, "Here's all these graphics. Here's whatever color I want," and then changed them on me, and it took me a little bit of time. So I apologize for the delay.
And I'm here because I once played a league game, which makes me qualified to cast it.
Seems right.
Hey, I just lost a game as Sivir, so I think I'm perfect.
Show the picture, not the lobby. Alright, so we are apparently in pause as the moment. All right. Looks like the game is well underway between Final Esports and Cetra Gaming. Cetra Gaming is on the blue side for this draft. I am Contractor, and my co-caster is Squid Shilling.
Hello, I am a squid.
If anything looks different or incorrect, let us know. This is the first time that I've ever tried setting up these images to work correctly with the stream, so good luck. Right. Looks like there's going to be a Swain ban. The Final Esports used Swain to dominate their game one in the quarterfinals, so that is a nice takeaway from Cetra. As well as Kha'Zix and Camille coming down. I believe this will be a best of 3 between the two teams.
Yes.
And we have not been following for very long, so we don't really know why all of these bans are in place, but if you guys got any theories, throw them out. We got a couple more mid laners coming out with Zoe and Galio. Seems to be the priority is making sure the mid lane wins for Cetra Gaming. And the final ban is going to be the Caitlyn from Final Esports.
Swain is always a pretty strong ban, especially with Swain's current status in the meta.
He's basically a pick ban in every LCS game, and apparently that translates to this league. Interesting first pick is going to be the Olaf from the side of Cetra Gaming. That was what TSM Batman used in both of the games in the quarterfinals, so that's a takeaway from them. Hopefully for his sake, he also plays it and isn't just a takeaway. And the Rakan is going to be swooped up by Final Esports. The Rakan Xayah changes did weaken their duo, but Rakan is stronger with everyone else now, so there doesn't need to be an instant Xayah lock in here from the side of Final Esports to get the full value, but it looks like there is going to be.
Xayah Rakan is still a pretty strong lane, Rakan being a very strong support in general.
Looks like Cetra Gaming is trying to decide on which AD carry they will use to combat this fearsome bot lane. It's going to be an Ezreal locked in. That is going to be an issue in laning phase. Ezreal's not super great into Xayah during the laning phase, but hopefully he can play safe and get the gold to scale into the mid game from Klepto. The final pick from Cetra Gaming during the first banning phase is going to be Corki. Corki and Arya, two of the safest blind pick mid laners, so looks like they're just trying not to get countered. And Final Esports will respond with an Orianna, which is also just a generally safe laner. So it doesn't look like a whole lot of action's probably going to go down in the mid lane. Final Esports has to ban out supports and probably top laners. We don't know for sure what lane Olaf is going in, so Final Esports has decided to just ban out support, at least for now, to make sure that the flex pick of Olaf doesn't get its value. And a Scion takeaway on the side of Cetra. And the final ban will be a Thresh, so they have decided to just ban away the supports, like I was theorizing. And the top laner and jungler are still open to be banned out by Cetra. We'll see if they do another targeted ban towards Ron Swanson, or if they take one towards TSM Batman, and it does look like there will be another ban focused on Ron Swanson. That's 3 or maybe up to 5 against him. I don't know which of those champions he plays, but at least 3 of them are top laners. Looks like the... Go ahead.
The Thresh and the Taric bans suggest that they're a bit concerned from more CC-oriented supports being picked out.
Yes, indeed. And finally, eSports picks up the Sejuani, which basically forces the side of Cetra to show whether Olaf was a top laner or a jungler to allow them to counterpick in the matchup against what is now Darius. Interesting pick in the Bard. Bard actually lanes very well against Rakan and Xayah because Rakan spam jumps to Xayah, so it makes a lot of easy double stuns to come out. Which is one way they could end up punishing Final Esports in that lane. And the last pick will be Ornn. So the teams are set. So, Squid Shilling, what do you think the win conditions will be for each of these teams?
I think it'll be interesting to see if Cetra Gaming can keep enough magic damage out through the Corki and the Bard to have magic damage actually be a threat. Otherwise, they are a very physical reliant team. While Olaf and Darius do have some sources of true damage, it's not going to be a lot.
Especially against the hard front line of Ornn and Sejuani.
Right, and for Final Esports, it's going to be a question of if they can keep Corki and Bard down enough to try to negate any threat from magic damage. If they can do that, it's really just a matter of building some armor and the game's set.
Alright. Looks like we're about to load in the game in after a short 3-minute spectator delay. Woo! Yeah! Alright, so everything's been locked in. So we know the summoner spells of each player. Corki has the Cleanse, which will help him a lot for the Sejuani ganks, but won't help almost at all against Orianna, especially since Orianna didn't choose to go Ignite. So that's basically a wasted summoner unless Sejuani is ganking. Both AD carries still brought heal despite the heal nerfs, which is something I have seen meddled with a little bit, as some people have started to bring barrier, and both supports brought Ignite, which is good against the heals, and it looks like there's going to be a lot of constant aggression and fighting down in the bot lane.
Yeah, I think bot lane's going to be the key thing here, because Orianna and Corki are such safe picks, and Ornn and Darius, while they can fight frequently, it's not a lot of all-in kill potential going on in top lane just because both of them are fairly bulky champions, naturally. So it's going to really come down to which team can get a lead in the bot lane. That does make the Ezreal pick a bit more interesting. Ezreal is pretty good at getting out of ganks, thanks to Arcane Shift, but otherwise is a pretty weak laner, especially against Xayah Rakan, and that could come back to bite them.
Yeah, I think the side of Cetra is just trying to survive the bot lane, because Ezreal actually has massive damage during teamfights. He just doesn't have target. He can't target select nearly as well as Xayah can, and many other AD carries can. So it looks like the side of Cetra is going to be mostly focused on front-to-back team fighting, trying to take down the Sejuani and the Ornn. And they're going to need the Ezreal to do it, so they have to survive that lane, otherwise it's going to be a pain. Hey, can everybody hear both of us okay? I apparently don't have ability to chat, even though I definitely followed it last time I watched the stream, but whatever. So, can everyone hear both of us? And the game volumes that were on earlier, is everything working smoothly for everybody? Audio's fine? Awesome, thank you. Everyone excited for the semifinals matchup between Final Esports and Cetra Gaming? Everyone cheer for your favorite team. Woo!
All right then.
Hey, Little Leaf cheered. Somebody cheered. It's all good. Alright. Looks like we are loading into game. Somebody said drawing runes, so that's going to be exciting. So Steven voted nay on his favorite team. Hello, League of Legends. Open. Thank you.
So do we want to hypothesize who brought the wrong runes?
Let's see. We got Klepto, Ezreal, Aerie, Khan, Electrocute. Everything's looking alright. Sejuani, maybe? That's the only one that looks like it might be incorrect.
Depending on the rest of Darius's trees, that could also be a source, but...
Yeah, I mean, in the last game TSM Batman played, he forgot to buy his jungle item. Or, actually, he bought it and then refunded it at the start of the game. But, so, I could very well see that being his mistake. Are you still at 0 seconds, Squid Chilling?
Yes, I am.
Alright, just making sure we're going to be commenting on the same stuff. Ratman strikes again. Alright, and there was something that I was supposed to turn off that they told me last time I streamed. I don't remember what. Time controls?
Well, Batman does have his jungle item this
There's that
time,
one.
so he has learned from the last game.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
I think it was time controls I was supposed to turn off.
30 seconds until minions
Alright,
spawn.
looks like red side is going to go with the default defensive setup, as well as blue side might be trying something cheeky, or might just be trying to counter invade and have a double stack. Oh, Olaf is going to face check right into Sejuani, but everyone's just going to back away, and the deep vision was gained by Cetra Gaming.
Some movement in the bot lane.
Ezreal got a mana potion already, so slight lead going over to the side of Cetra due to Kleptomancy. Looks like both junglers are going to start on their red buffs. Interestingly, Olaf is not getting a leash. Which I mean that Sejuani actually crossed over mid by the time Olaf finished his first buff. He's quite a ways behind in his pathing. Looks like since the level 1 power of Zyra Khan was nerfed, the blue side was able to get a push going, which will help them a lot to avoid future all-ins by the Zyra Khan duo.
Does help explain the lack of a leash on blue's side. Getting that shoved in early does really take away a big part of Zyra Khan's threat.
Definitely. Yeah, Ezreal's already up 12-4 in CS, and the waves are even. So they've been massively denying the bot lane of Final eSports. Netting an already 300 gold lead at 3 minutes. That is insane.
Looks like Ornn as well has been denied of a bit of CS. Not quite to the extent of the bot lane disparity, but that is not looking good for them right now.
Yes, and interestingly, Orianna brought Minion Dematerializer. Orianna's not necessarily one of the mid laners that needs Minion Dematerializer to constantly clear out the backline, so he's probably going to be using a lot of that on the melee or cannon minions. Oh, a huge all-in coming out of the Zyra Khan lane, forcing the flash and the heal, as well as walking over 2 health packs to make Bard survive. That was a very good play. It's going to help Zyra Khan stay in that lane. Olaf ganked mid and did manage to burn Ghost out of Orianna, but no health and no significant damage with the double safety summoners. And Zaya's already back up 20 to 24 in CS due to that fantastic trade in the bot lane.
It's where the Bard pick does become a bit questionable. Bard does need to roam a lot more often than most supports do, and the periods where he does roam gives a great opportunity for Xayah and Rakan to get on Ezreal and get in some damage.
Yeah, Little Leaf, the comments make sense, but it is you, Plat. So, large wave manipulations aren't always a factor. You resemble that? I believe. Is it not you, Plat? I was told that it was. Batman's you, Plat. You means Plat and under, man. Alright, still 0-0. A 600 gold lead coming out from the blue side. Now lowered to 500, but yeah. Corki opted into the Doran's shield and is still full mana, meaning he's not trying to harass Orianna at all in this lane. He's just trying to survive it, which does make sense because Corki scales extremely well into the late game.
Ezreal is amassing quite a gold lead in the bot, both from being very far ahead in CS and from the Klepto.
Darius was like one auto and a Q away from being able to kill Ron Swanson there. That was really close. If he had stuck around a little bit longer, he would have been in trouble. But Ron Swanson, losing the stacks from Darius's bleed, is in a lot better of a situation now, and he feels a lot more confident to take the all-in against the Exiled Argonaut. He flashes over the Q to make sure he doesn't get the heal, which is countered by a flash over the Ornn ultimate to secure Darius the first blood solo kill. Very well played from him, especially due to Ornn having extra items purchased and already having a Glacial Shroud to just the Doran's shield.
Kind of surprised to see first blood come out of top lane, especially solo.
Usually, I would not have expected a guy 900 gold up to lose a 1v1. Glacial Shroud's 900, isn't it? Think so? I don't know. Something around there.
But that's going to further the gold lead side.
Looks like every lane has taken their first recalls at this point. Corki's the last one to finish up doing so. And a BF sword is picked up on the side of Queef, while a Tear Sheen is picked up from Ezreal. So realistically, Ezreal is weaker than Xayah in a 1v1 or in the 2v2 at this point until he finishes his Mirror Mana, or Mana Mune at least. Darius has a nice freeze going under his tower in the top lane. And Olaf is soloing the dragon, and he very much walked over. He must have blast gunned over, otherwise they would have known, because they have wards in the entire river. So he must have blast gunned over the back. And it looks like he's going to get it freely with no one contesting it at all.
That's an Ocean Drake
Ocean Drake being the first dragon is very useful.
Want some?
Exiled Argonaut is flexing his lead over Ron Swanson right now.
Not much action from TSM Batman yet, but with level 6 he should be open to more ganks.
Well, just look at the ward coverage from the red side. 2 pink wards in their own jungle, 1 in the bot river, 1 in the enemy jungle bot side, and then what was 5 in the top side, and now it's only 4, but it's insane how many wards they have. CC coming out from Rakan, followed up by an Orianna ultimate, but the cleanse from Corki is going to get him to safety without even having to burn the flash, and burning 3 ultimates on the side of Final Esports. It's a worthwhile, and Ignite from Rakan. It's a worthwhile trade for Corki. Bard is getting frisky, but he does manage to escape with his magical journey.
The pink ward survived.
Oh my gosh, the red buff coming out of CG Logic took away the blue buff actually, so Kessler's not gonna have it for the laning phase. At least I believe that's what happened.
Bard roaming back mid.
Sejuani being pressured out of her own jungle by the Olaf. Does manage to secure the giant raptor for the 62 gold, but almost all of the little ones are going to go over to Olaf, so still a worthwhile investment from Olaf's side, as Sejuani has nothing to do in the current moment. Bard disconnected, and it looks like we have reached a pause. So, we will see what the conclusion of that is. We have no contact with the players, so we don't know. But hopefully he comes back soon and we can get this game back underway.
So far through the first 10 minutes, it's been Cetra's game.
Yes, it definitely has. They've amassed a 1,400 gold lead, which is
And
not huge, but substantial.
Adding to that an uncontested Ocean Drake, that is a pretty substantial lead to have this early.
The one benefit that Final Esports does gain in this situation is TSM Batman is about a half of a level up on CG Logic due to farming the entire time Olaf was soloing Dragon. But that's made up for by the fact that mid lane and top lane are both half a level down just due to losing their lanes.
A summoner has reconnected.
Alright, awesome. Bard has reconnected, so hopefully the game starts again shortly. Looks like Orianna is going for the full-on Archangel Staff Rush, and Corki is going for the Trinity Force with the Phage first for the added safety rather than the damage, as Sheen would provide more early trading power. Warren still hasn't bought anything since his first death, so we'll see what he ends up coming out with. It looks like he might be rushing a Righteous Glory, but he might want to reconsider that after losing his lane enough that he might need more defensive stats rather than the investment of gold into the move speed. Also, since it has reached 10 minutes, the magical footwear of Ezreal came in and gave him another free 300 golds worth of items, as well as a small buff to the boots, I believe. I don't know, they might have taken that out, actually. I don't take it anymore, so I'm not entirely positive.
The movement speed is still on the boots.
Okay, yeah, it does still give 10 bonus movement speed. Apparently I can hover over items. I didn't think I could hover over items during the screen. Oh, I can check gold, too. Alright, I thought this was all frozen during Spectator. Alright, so 700 gold lead in the top lane. 400 for the jungle on the side of Final Esports. And 600 disparity in the AD carries. So, looks like the top lane, mid lane, and AD carry are ahead for CG. Well, the jungler and support are ahead for Final Esports. Not what you want to see coming out of Final Esports. But the game is still anybody's game, and we're back underway. I guess not.
A summoner has disconnected.
He restarted his client, and it was bugged. So hopefully this is just one more quick restart, because whatever the issue was initially seems to have been fixed, so he was able to reconnect, and now he just needs to fix the client. Should just be one final restart. Sejuani and Oriolts and Rakanolts are all coming up soon. We'll see if they try to make a repeat play while the cleanse is still down from Corky. It's always a possibility.
I am kind of surprised we haven't seen more action bot side yet.
Yeah, it looks like Queef and Django are just ceding their lane pressure to avoid any kind of gank possibility coming out from the Olaf. They've been playing extremely safe throughout the majority of this laning phase. And he has fleet footwork, so it's even safer. There we go, Bard has reconnected again. And he has his level restored. Apparently that was his issue, is that it didn't tell him he was level 6. Mr. Squid Shilling, can you tell me what kind of dragon is the next one to come up? You have to look at
Like
it in
a
the dragon
mountain
pit.
drake.
Okay. So we'll see if that one is going to be contested or not. The package has been picked up by Corky, so we'll see if he tries to make any action happen. Seems to be roughly content sitting in his own lane for now, though.
Olaf's looking to get a Rift Herald alone.
Back off.
A lot of stuff has just been seeded over by the side of Final Esports, with very little to gain from it from them. I mean, they are farming their own jungles, but I don't think that makes up for the Rift Herald. Alright, and the package was just expended to help out with the wave clear in the mid lane as it was about to time out. And the Manamune has been picked up by Ezreal, so this is going to be his largest power spike in relation to Zaya's power spikes. He should be stronger at the current moment in a definite all-in. Bard is going very aggressive onto the Rakan, and the Rakan ends up expending Flash, Ultimate, and dying due to Ezreal's nice Arcane Shift auto. So it looked like Bard might have been caught out by but a fantastic Flash over the Sejuani ult got him to safety. Which makes the side of CG up 2-0.
They are amassing quite a lead for being so early in the game.
A nice Valkyrie coming out from Corky to dodge the shockwave from Orianna. Otherwise, he might have died. I think there's a good chance. Olaf is still pressuring onto Sejuani in the jungle with the help of Darius, since he has such a massive lead in top lane. And Bard and Ezreal are letting Zaya know that he does not get to play safely this game, even under his own turret. Good trade coming out on the side of Cetra. Ezreal was safe enough that he couldn't be harassed by Zaya at all. And Rakan went a little too deep.
Olaf took the Raptors, still will not get the red buff though.
So that's one saving grace, but with Olaf taking Rift Herald and Dragon by this point, being almost tied in experience in CS with TSM Batman is a massive advantage for their team. So who do you think wins this game if it goes late?
At this point, if it goes late, it'd be tough to say, mostly because if it is going late, that suggests Cetra has given up their strong early lead. I don't see red side having enough defensiveness weather out a full siege for a long time, so if it is going late, that's suggesting Cetra made some bad calls in the mid-game.
Fair enough. Looks like Olaf is going to go pop the Rift Herald in the bottom lane, and they're going to attempt to a 3v3 take this turret. I think it's a very doable scenario, as the turret will die to one charge of the Rift Herald, but we'll see if they get engaged upon afterwards or not. The Mountain Dragon is up.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Olaf is going to start it up, despite the fact that he walked over the vision circle from the Rift Scuttler. But it still looks like Final Esports is just ready to seed that dragon. Yep, they know they're on it, and they let them have it. So that's 2 dragons up for the side of CG now.
And losing bot turret is going to make it harder for them to play safe.
Bard tossing out a Hail Mary ultimate on the Orianna. Did not connect. Bard is just having fun trolling through the jungle, picking up chimes. And now he's found Rakan out again. He picks the Ignite, and Rakan goes down before even applying the ultimate to the Corki. But the Corki has a very nice flash over the Orianna Shockwave. He started picking up some healing from the river plant, but now it's going to be a 4v3 in the river, with Ron Swanson basically being abandoned. Darius is flanking, got a nice 3-man pull-off, forcing Ron Swanson's flash, but Queef is going to be able to CC them down. And it looks like only Ron Swanson is going to go down in the end, because Final Esports was not all on the same page there. Some of them were hard committing to running away, and some of them were looking for chances to re-engage. Very nicely played out of Cetra, and with 5-man mid versus 2, I guess 3, but Orianna and Azaya are so low, basically count them as 2. They're going to be able to secure the mid tower with very little contention.
This has been a strong opening for Cetra. I don't see Final Esports being able to come back from this much of a deficit early on.
Yeah, and you have to look at it next game as what would Final Esports do to adapt if the game continued on this pattern and was finished out by CG? Would they try to pick stronger laners, or would they opt into a safer style and just commit harder to scaling?
It'd be hard to really take a stronger laners when you've already got a Xayah Rakan bot lane. That is a pretty strong lane to begin with. And it's also hard to really say that a weakness in lane is costing them when they're up against someone like Corki that is more scaling threat than lane threat.
So that's probably about the 4th time Rakan has taken fights with people he can't beat with no backup. He just tried to 1v1 a Corki that was 5 levels higher than him and barely escaped. Mostly due to the fact that an ally ended up showing up at the very end. Whereas when Bard takes a fight with someone like Orianna, he usually wins the trade because they're too afraid of backup. So that is something Final Esports has to watch out for, is just letting their support lose trades while the enemies is winning. Looks like the Trinity Force is going to be picked up by Corki, and it appears as though he's going to be rushing either the Static Shiv or the Rapid Fire Cannon next, and not the Infinity Edge. Oh, a nice jump onto Bard is going to bring him very low, but a nice Cosmic Fate is going to save him for a tiny bit. Olaf is going to sidestep the Sejuani ult, and it'll be a 1-for-0 for the side of Final Esports. That will help deter this push/dive that was about to be happening. And now, Cetra Gaming is committing, even though it's a 4v3 at this moment, forcing Corki to Valkyrie over the wall after losing about a third of his HP. So it looks like Final Esports is going to be able to hang on and catch up in gold just a little bit, helping them scale a little bit more.
Really, at this point, Final Esports is going to need to be looking capitalize off of plays like that. They're too far behind in gold to really make anything happen on their own.
They'll just have to hope CG makes the mistakes.
Yeah.
Great rules.
Right. And it was an Iceborne Gauntlet picked up by the Ornn in the end. I don't know if that was what he was initially planning, but I like the choice a lot better. It'll help him survive the Darius all-ins just a little bit more than Righteous Glory would have. The issue is, after that pick they got in the top lane, they just abandoned it and didn't actually keep any pressure in it, allowing Cetra to just take the tower for free anyways.
Something finally.
The package is burned by Corki, and he might be getting pick on the Rakan, but no, Rakan will manage to escape with the double dash from the E.
A big difference early on has been the activity of the jungler. While they're both at the same KP right now, 2 dragons and a Rift Herald by Olaf has done a lot to bring his team.
It most definitely has. The first items are all picked up by most people, but Corki and Ezreal have actually finished their second major items. So they're at a power spike right now where there's no way Final eSports would be able to contest a fight, and I think they know it. Oop, never mind. Rakan is actually going to flash engage onto Corki with pretty much no follow-up. So that was odd, but at least he's trying to make something happen instead of losing just from being choked out. Unfortunately, he chose a very poor engage at the time. Looks like all 5 members of CG are in the bottom half of the map. Another Bardolt comes out, but it was ghosted away from him by Orianna. That has saved her multiple times. One thing I would like to commend the side of CG for is Corki actually has 230 CS at 21 minutes. That is very good for a U-Plat league. So he's raking in the gold. He's 1,400, or I guess 1,300 gold ahead of his lane opponent. So that's 1,700 from top lane, 2,200 from AD carry. The support and jungler are still relatively close, but with your damage dealers not being as strong as the enemy damage dealers, it doesn't really matter if your CC and tankiness is comparable. Squid Shilling, anything you would like to say about the second Mountain Drake being picked up?
There's just been way more activity from Cetra's jungler this game, and that is, even though there hasn't been a lot of ganks going on, getting all of those objectives has done a lot to keep their game ahead. Especially that Rift Herald take early on, getting them that first tower.
Yeah, and snowballed into the dragon.
Right, that...
Oh,
Olaf has
the guy in the
had a
chat
very
wants to say that it's Cetra, not Centra, because you've been saying Centra a couple times. Because I initially wrote that in the stream, because I didn't know that either. But it looks like Darius is going to get onto Orianna. He's going to flash an ulter, but the Seraph's Embrace at the perfect time is going to save her in the end. Sejuani got very low and was forced to burn flash as well. So that's 2 flashes for 2 ultimates and a flash from the side of CG. But CG has the momentum and is going to be able to push onto the mid tower.
Want some?
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
You can tell just how ahead Cetra has gotten that an Ezreal Q can take out almost a fourth of Rakan's health. They have a very substantial lead as it looks like they're going to start trying for Baron.
It does look like they're setting a vision. The Bard ult comes out to deny the minion wave on the tower of CG, and it will stop the push coming from Final Esports, saving their mid tower on a small chunk of health. The Baron was started up after Ezreal auto-attacked the ward, so they actually know that they're on it. This is very risky coming up from the side of CG. Baron is down to 5,000, and all of Final Esports is actually gathering in the back of the pit, so it looks like they're going to be going for a steal rather than a fight, but the threat of the Ornn ultimate has brought CG off of the Baron. The Ezreal goes through 4, and it brings them very low. A nice shockwave to deter the oncoming push, but Orianna is too far forward and is going to get hit by the flash Bard stun, which will net them 1 kill to 0 in that fight. Three sums were burnt on the blue side, while only 1 on the red side, but basically 2 sums for a kill is worth it most of the time. Oh, he takes the blast cone right into Darius. He hits the ultimate, but unfortunately that's not going to be able to save him. Rakan is going to go down as well, trying too hard to save Sejuani out of position, and Corki is going crazy, just flashes into the enemy base alone to pick up the triple kill. Nice play by Corki, bringing him to 5-0 and 2.
That is an almost 10,000 gold lead before the Baron.
And it looks like the Baron is going to be started up again by Cetra Gaming, and there's nobody to contest it really from the side of Final Esports, so it looks like it's going to be a free Baron. As well as Bard solo sieging the top tower. This might be a bit of an overextension from him, but Orianna went the safe way because she had no vision on the enemy team, and it looks like Bard is going to stay safe, although not quite grabbing that tower.
Final Esports has just been hammered in every lane so far.
So the gold graphs certainly show it. When both of your carries and your top lane have 2,000 to 3,000 gold leads, it's almost a completed item ahead in multiple lanes. It's going to be very hard for Final Esports to find a fight that could come back from this. If they somehow get the perfect wombo combo of the 5-man Rakan, Orianna, Sejuani, Ornn, like, they're all AoE, so they can get a wombo, but it would be a miracle to say the very least.
And it would be a lot more coordination than we've really seen from them this game.
Certainly.
They've tried some plays. The problem has just been they don't seem to be on the same page about their plays, and it's cost them.
It's like they're holding on onto their inhibitor line for now, but there is a long time left of Baron, as well as the dragon coming up in about a minute. Actually, hold that thought. Corki and Bard just pushed down the top tower while nobody was looking. And Orianna's QW just did that much damage to Ezreal, as just a sign of how far ahead he is of her. That's supposed to do at least half of a carry's health, and that just did maybe an eighth. Rakan jumps in alone, 7 levels down against Corki, but luckily he didn't crit on the last auto, so Rakan barely survived after wasting flash in what was a very foolhardy engage.
Still gonna cost them the inhibitor.
That Corki is so massive right now. They need at least 2, if not 3 people to deal with him. So just the pressure he's exhibiting top lane is forcing mid lane to go down, and probably bot lane shortly thereafter, as the minions are already up to the tower there.
Cetra did very good at distracting Final Esports away from that bot lane and letting that push build so that all 3 waves could be collapsing on their face.
Yeah, it looks like Cetra just played the game by the numbers, and Final Esports had no responses at all. A very nice Ornn ultimate followed by a 1-man shockwave on just the Darius is going to lead to 1 kill on either side thus far, but Final Esports is almost escaped many times, and it's down to a 3v3, now a 2v3. It's just the bot lane against the bot lane and the mid laner from CG. Corki looks to be going for potentially the penta. That's the quadra. Are they going to dive for the Penta? I believe they will. Yep, they're going in, but Corki's not committing. And it looks like the kill is going to go over to Ezreal in the end because Corki is a little bit of a record whore. The ace is going to come through in the end, 13-5. Very well played game from CG. 5-2 on Queef though, so you got to give him some props for doing well on the team that was otherwise struggling. But a fantastic game coming out of CG. Any final comments before we go to a break?
It really shows how powerful the early game lead can be. Their bot lane lost some lane pressure because the Cetras could push instead of leashing. They got some early advantages mid and top. It allowed them just to snowball, and at no point did final eSports really figure out how to stop that from happening.
Yes, and this Corki damage graph is insane. Corki did over double the enemy mid laner's damage, despite Oriana having 0 deaths for a majority of the game. A very well played game out of Corki, 9-0-3. I don't know how you guys' system works for player of the game, but I would vote for that guy.
That is a stellar game out of Corki.
And very good vision scores out of actually everybody on the blue side in this game. Most people though. 11 pink words from TSM Batman. It's just an exemplary game on the side of CG, and we'll have to see what Final Esports can do to turn it around next game. We're gonna go to a short break while they reset up the lobbies, and I guess we'll just be back soon. And we are back with Game 2 of Final eSports versus Cetra Gaming. I did not have time to make different logos, so give me a second while I change the sides and colors.
Two big things that I'll be looking for in this. First, if TSM Batman can have a bit more of a jungle presence. In the last game, Cetra's jungler got a number of uncontested objectives that allowed them to carry the early game and snowball. And second, to see if bot lane is going to try to be more aggressive, since they did get pushed on and lose a lot of presence last time on Final eSports.
I'd say the one major advantage Final eSports has in this game is that they all have their clan tags correct, and there are 2 members of Cetra that don't, so they have unity on their side.
Unsurprisingly, Cetra is mostly going for the same bans. A Swain ban first off. Final eSports adding in an Ezreal ban.
What was that in place of? That was in place of another mid laner, wasn't it?
I believe so.
No, it was in place of Caitlyn. They banned the Caitlyn. This time they just first picked the Caitlyn and banned the Ezreal, and gave over Zyra Khan to the side of Cetra.
Batman will take his Olaf, since that is not picked away.
As well as the Caitlyn Morgana. I've heard TSM Batman say numerous times that he thinks Caitlyn Morgana is one of the best lanes in the bottom lane. So they are definitely gone more aggressive. And the Sejuani, it looks like they're mostly trading. All of Cetra's picked only champions that Final eSports picked last game. If they end up with the exact same team comp and win, that would be massive BM.
Go winning team from Westland. Thank you. That is
Nice
a
cheering.
very useful message to send.
The
during
winning
the
team
picked
is
bans.
currently Cetra. They're up 1-0 in a best-of-3 series. Final eSports banned the Orianna, so Cetra cannot have their team comp. I don't know if they planned that specifically for that reason, but I think it's hilarious.
Interesting Corki ban.
I guess both teams decided to ban away their own mid laners. Just because.
And there's the Darius ban. Banning
Trendy.
away the top laner.
So they banned away the AD carry and the top laner from last game from the side of Cetra, hopefully to try to secure stronger lanes into those matchups. Talia was picked up from Cetra at his showing focus on top and bot lane rather than on mid lane, as Talia is not super good at getting solo kills in her lane. They stopped us from playing their comp. Yes, they did, Mango. I believe that was on purpose.
I'm just as disappointed as you, Mango.
I've actually heard in recent past that Syndra is the best Talia counter. So they have gone all in on laning phase, except for top lane. But they locked in Maokai, who's a medium to weak laner. I would say, considerably weaker going up against Kaisa. But it looks like Renekton will be the final lock-in. The summoner spells have changed. Now final eSports is bringing Cleanse in the middle lane, where Talia has switched over to the barrier. Probably smart to survive Syndra's burst. Especially since it's like a minute shorter cooldown than heal.
A bit of a change in Cetra's lineup. Not nearly as strong of a front to back fighting comp, but
a lot more of a everybody run into the enemies real fast comp.
Yeah. On final esports side, they do have two champions that are both pretty good at running at the enemy, at shutting down a member of the other team. Olaf and Syndra combined are a pretty frightening prospect for an AD carry to deal with.
However, Xayah is very good at dodging Syndra's ultimate.
Yeah, that is an interesting pick. If Xayah's ult is down, Syndra becomes a lot more of a threat, but until then, Xayah has an easy way to get out of danger.
Once again, I feel like this is a very bot lane central game. Whichever bot lane wins will probably win the whole game. Like last game, the pressure they got from the bottom lane allowed for the early dragons, allowed for the early jungle invades, and really helped Cetra secure a spot in that game. And this game with Caitlyn Morgana, they should probably have a harder time doing it, but if one bot lane is significantly ahead, just like last game, and anytime there's two big frontline tanks in a comp, the AD carry suddenly becomes one of the most important roles in the game, especially with the Talia as your other source of damage.
It will be interesting to see, now that they've swapped junglers, if there's going to be more gank activity from the teams than in the last game. Last game did have a lot of jungle activity, but it was mostly around objectives and not as much on lane pressure.
And we'll also have to see if CG Logic goes for those same solo dragons, solo Rift Heralds on the Sejuani, who might be a little bit weaker at it than the Olaf.
Right, that's going to be... It'll be interesting to see how they're going to adjust their jungle strategy with opposite junglers. And with a Sejuani jungler, it's a bit more difficult than on Olaf to get away with not having a leash. Olaf can get himself down to low health and use his kit to get himself back up and not take that much extra risk in his jungling. Getting low, Sejuani
has a hard time on the first clear.
Right. And if Cetra can't use the same strategy of skip the leash to get that early pressure in bot lane, they might not be able to deal with the Caitlyn Morgana and have nearly as much pressure in bot as they did in the first game.
For sure. What I'm hoping to see is a jungle invade, because just like the last game, I think that Cetra's comp this game, like Final eSports' last game, I think Cetra's comp is way better at level 1. I think they could easily take it all in, and I would love to see them try it. Here we go. We loaded into game quicker this time. There we go. Oh, I have to change the page over to loading now. I almost forgot. I usually have an auto switcher on my stream, and I haven't got it set up for this one correctly. Oh, I have to change the in-game as well. The sides of this real quick. Hopefully nothing happens in the first couple seconds, because this is going to take me a little bit to change the colors of everything and the sides.
And now for the fashion cast portion, where I
Fashion.
talk about skin choices.
Hey, let me know if something's happening in the game and I need to tap back in.
I will. Matching Cosmic Dawn skins for Xayah and Rakan. I'm not a real huge fan of any of Xayah and Rakan's skins at the moment. No skin on Renekton. Disappointing, only player without a skin.
Time to get going. 30 seconds until minions spawn.
I think Syndra wins on the skin war. The Frost theme is a very strong choice.
Alright. I got all the fashion done. Now we can watch the game again.
Just standing around. Minions have spawned.
You want it?
Looks like it was another round of defensive setups. More deep vision by the red team to see that Olaf started on blue this time now. Both top laners will be giving a leash, which means everyone will end up in the bottom lane at the end. A very nice trade coming in. Django actually dropped extremely low. He might go down to the last step ignite. He will. But Caitlyn might flash to try to pick up the kill on the Rakan, but Rakan flashes away and barely survives as well. 3 sums for 3 with the 80 carry flash on CG and the support flash from the side of FES. But 1 kill going over to Rakan is going to make this bot lane a little bit worse than we'd previously expected. The one benefit is that Caitlyn is better than Xayah in a 1v1 at level 1. So Caitlyn will be able to still pressure the lane a little bit into the Xayah.
There was a bit of a problem with split focus by Queef in that fight. He started hitting the Xayah, switched to Rakan, and then switched back to Xayah. If he would have been on Xayah the entire time, he might have been able to get that first blood.
I would definitely agree with that. I think he was expecting less of an... Oh, nice shove from Talia, getting a decent harass onto Syndra. But I think he was expecting red team to back up because Caitlyn Morgana's stronger and was just hitting the closest one as he thought they'd run away. Didn't expect the full all-in onto Morgana. We have another pause from Renekton DCing. This is by the opposite team, so I don't know if there's any pause rules in this league, but there will not be any problem here as it is the opposite side that initiated the pause. Nothing significant to report outside of that first blood. Everyone is roughly even. Caitlyn does still have her health potion, but Rakan has a lot of items up in Morgana's since he recalled after getting the kill. So that kind of balances out the bot lane a little bit. Olaf is about 3/4 of a camp ahead of Sejuani in clear. Cumulative 5 minutes? Well, Final Esports was really close to that 5 minutes last game. I have streamed for this league before and cast this league before, but not since last season, so I don't really... and they didn't really tell me a lot of the rules. They just said cast and just make it interesting. So I really don't know a lot of stuff like that. He reconnected, didn't he? Yep. He should be starting any minute here. Both teams have have mentioned that they are ready to go. We'll have to see if there's any action with both junglers pathing down towards the bottom side, as well as Talia either getting a deep board or thinking about her own bot herself.
Cetra will have to be a bit cautious to make sure they don't get ganked, but getting that first blood does encourage a bit more roaming bot to try to get rid of that threat.
With all of the sums being down, that was very smooth out of Rakan. He didn't actually hit anything, but it looked really pretty. Yeah, with all of those sums being burned in that first fight in the bot lane, I would expect pressure from at least one of the junglers in the near future. The vision control in the river has gone over to the side of CG, making them have to cede a little bit of pressure in the lane because Sejuani was pathing towards bot side and could easily be there in that rush right now, as far as they know.
We are
Looks like
seeing
that
some of the benefits
really
to
is.
a Morgana and Caitlyn
A
combo.
flash engage from Sejuani, followed up by an engage from Rakan, is going to get Django extremely low, but his flash was barely enough to save his life. And they're going to end up going 0 for 0 with only 3 summoners burned. Xayah flashed as well. So the trade of summoners does go over to the blue side, as long as they don't get punished in lane for that health loss. TSM Batman comes in, maybe unnecessary. Might have stolen that kill, might have secured it. I don't know what Renekton's cooldowns were because I wasn't watching at the very start of it. But a nice response kill coming out from the side of Final Esports and TSM Batman. I like to see the early action coming in on a champion like Olaf, where he struggled a little bit with it on his Sejuani. He helped shove the wave in to force the teleport out of Renekton, whereas Maokai probably won't have to burn his to go back to lane. So teleport advantage probably going over to Final Esports in this scenario.
In bot lane, even though they did give up first blood, we're seeing one of the advantages to a Caitlyn Morgana lane. They have a lot more poke potential with the black shield and range advantage.
Yeah, Rakan is not great without being able to all in.
Right, and that's allowed them to keep this lane fairly even, where a first blood loss could have been much worse for them.
I like the adaptation out of Final Esports, picking the early laning phase champions in at least 2 of their lanes, and then focusing their gank pressure on the 3rd lane. Like I said, they were not expecting it because both junglers started on the top side of the map and should have been pathing down towards bottom, but Olaf cut his jungler route quick and then went back around to the top side to make sure that he could get a surprise early gank off to help out the one slightly weaker lane.
And it has paid off. A slight experience lead for Maokai is getting him his ult earlier and allowing him to deny Renekton.
I think Maokai misclicked his ult trying to rank it up. Oh, a nice binding followed by a trap coming out of the blue side. They're too afraid to try to heal Tower Dive or anything. They're not going to risk anything like that, as Xayah was nearby. But a very nice trade coming through, getting Rakan very low and allowing them to actually get some turret pressure. Rakan just flash engaged despite being extremely low HP and was forced to burn the heal from both sides, actually. Another binding is going to land, but Queef is completely out of mana, not going to be able to lay the trap until just then. Just going to make him very, very exposed. Gets hit by the W from Rakan and is taken down. I don't know why he didn't expend his flash. I guess he thought it wouldn't help him, but since neither mid laner had backed for a while, Syndra decided to recall earlier, and Talia tried to shove the wave in, followed up by a swift punish out of TSM Batman for a 2nd kill.
Thank you.
He's definitely putting his team on his shoulders at the moment, making them only at a 500 gold deficit despite all of the problems happening in the bottom lane. Looks like the recalls are going to be joined up. And the interesting part of that was Rakan got hit actually before they recalled, but Rakan had his passive shield on still, so it didn't stop his recall, and the recalls were completed before it hit Xayah. That was very close.
Beautiful recall. The real differential here is that first blood.
Yeah, there's about a 200 gold lead in the middle lane. Tied in the top lane. 300 for the 80 carry of CG. And 800 for the support. The main differential is the support, for sure. 800 of their 600 gold lead is in the support. So, I'm just saying, that's a very large amount of gold, and that's not really what you want to see on the side of CG. But the gold lead
Right.
itself is still nice.
It's unfortunate that their first blood had to go onto the support and not the AD carry, but it's still better that they got the first blood than letting it fall to top lane.
Yes, and this is going to be an interesting game because now that TSM Batman is 2-0-0 on his own, it's going to make CG Logic very unable to gank because the fear of a 2v2 or a 3v3 being turned around on them is massive at the moment.
But it still looks like they're going to get an uncontested Ocean Drake.
FES definitely has a very low priority on dragons in this series. They're just giving them over. Syndra is actually caught out on the opposite side of the Weaver's wall. He's going to get hit by the W from Talia as well. But a nice flash is going to get him to safety in the short term. But CG Logic coming in with the snipe is going to pick up the kill. A flash from both Olaf, Morgana, Sejuani, Talia. Everybody flashed there. And it looks like blue team is going to be on the chase trying to kill off the red team. But Django actually was separated by a fantastic blast cone, leading to a kill back by the red team. I don't think I've ever seen that play. Alright, now they're picking a 2v2 against Olaf and Caitlyn. They're going to be dropped extremely low. Batman's going to get the kill, but Triumph is not going to reach him in time. So he's going to end up dropping in the end. Queef is definitely winning the duel, but the Sejuani coming back in is going to be a huge issue. He got him very low, but he wasn't quite able to secure the kill. The double traps landing is going to save him for a little bit, but he just did not remember to run away. And it's going to get dropped in the end by CG Logic with those early Tier 1 boots.
That is a huge swing to Cetra. 3 kills on an AD carry this early.
And only
That's
the
a
one on
big
the side of
thing.
Queef.
And that really negated a lot of the lead they had in the jungle as well.
Yeah, it's back down to a 300-some gold lead.
Standing still is more dangerous than moving forward.
That was devastating. Is that an Urgot quote? I've heard you guys say that a lot in this league. I think that's an Urgot quote, isn't it? Urge to kill rising. I don't know.
That's a quote from Guild Wars 2.
It's a quote in this game too. League takes a lot of quotes from other things.
Yeah, that is fair.
I just don't know for sure who says it.
I mostly recognize it as the statement a player character in Guild Wars 2 makes when you get a ferocity buff.
So Rakan
Necromancers for life.
has changed back to Ignite from Teleport with the Summoner's Spellbook. That's interesting. It looks like they're going to, now that they're ahead again, they're going for a dive bottom actually. They have Talia behind. No Weaver's Wall available just yet. About 10 seconds left on that cooldown. But it looks like Talia's going to go in anyways and just go for the Miracle abilities. And Rakan's actually going to flash engage under tower. He's going to drop in the end, but 1 for 1 with a kill going to Talia versus a kill from Morgana. Definitely worth it from the red team side. This might enable them to get first tower. It's going to at least help them get a lot of damage from the Xayah on it and make Xayah even further ahead of Queef. A nice sidestep from Syndra is going to dodge out the W from Talia. But Olaf not being able to pass through the wall is going to make Talia safe in the end. No summoners burnt, just the Talia wall. Which was to get back to lane, so.
That's a Rift Herald going down unopposed again.
Great. New supplies.
It's kind of shocking to see Final eSports not try to put more pressure on those objectives after they cost them so much last game.
For sure, as well as Ron Swanson actually having some pressure in that lane. Nice cleanse out of Sejuani, or Syndra's going to get him away for a little bit from Sejuani, but he's going to be dropped extremely low and taken down by the very last Q from Talia. Very nice executed dive. And cleanse just wasn't quite enough to get Talia, or to get Syndra out of it. Mid tower is likely going to go down with the Rift Herald charge if Morgana ever stops binding it. Oh, it was hit once. They did a lot of damage with Olaf and Morgana actually to it. Olaf is going to get onto Sejuani, as well as the Morgana ult is going to drop Sejuani extremely low. One hit from death from almost anything. Olaf is going to pick up the kill onto Talia, see if he can go for the snipe, but it's not going to come through. The ward did allow the Caitlyn ult to pick up CG Logic though. Very nicely played from everyone. Kudos to DSM Batman on the ward to secure the extra kill.
They will still lose the first turret though to Xayah's push bot lane.
Side tangent, I yelled at TSN Batman about 18,000 times to drop wards when they're in fights. Looks like he listened to me. I'm going to take credit for that kill.
Good. An interesting choice by Morgana to prioritize getting shield and binding, still without tormented soil.
You'd think one ranked by now, but the Syndra ult is going to take down the Rakan. A nice binding coming out of Morgana and follow-up stun from Syndra to secure an easy kill.
Final eSports definitely doing better this game at preventing a huge early game difference.
They've narrowed it down to 8-8 with only a 1,000 gold lead. That being said, most of Final eSports' gold is on TSM Batman, so the onus is on him to carry this game, not his carries, because he's gotten 4 of the kills.
But Olaf is a good champion to have ahead. Because of Ragnarok, he can do a lot of damage to a team if he's ahead, as opposed to a lot of other junglers.
This is very true, and the rotation came in from both teams to send their bot lanes to the top, but Xayah Rakan got there first, and they got a massive amount of damage on the turret. Caitlyn is extremely low. He's going to have to flash out of that at the very end, and the tower is dropped to 5%, as well as burning Caitlyn's flash in that, for only Rakan's ult. That's an amazing trade coming in from the side of CG. Talia is roaming up towards the top side with the Weaver's wall ready, so TSM Batman has had to position himself to try to cut off the potential dive. But because of that, the dragon is going down uncontested again.
The big difference we've seen so far is Cetra just having really the better macro so far. They got the rotation off earlier, they've gotten the objective controls, they've just had more control over the map in both games, and that's gotten them, in the last game, a much larger gold lead, but in this one they still have a 2,000 gold lead.
And if you take a look at the vision score from every member of both teams, Maokai is beating Renekton, but everyone else is being absolutely slaughtered. Final eSports has been focusing so much on being grouped up, they've warded very, very little. Root's going to come in and force out the Ragnarok from Olaf. Every member of Final eSports is super low, and he actually walks up to Talia again and is forced to burn his flash and Queef's heal. They did get the Zyda recall, and no deaths have occurred yet.
They're in a much weaker position now. It'll be a 4v3.
Oh, a flash engage out of Rakan before the Morgana spell shield can get there. But the Sejuani ult is flashed and cleansed. But Syndra's still going to go down in the end, because even after cleanse flashing, he just walks back in. Because Renekton scared him that much that he walked into the rest of the enemy team. Ron Swanson's going to come in and lay down the CC onto Renekton, hopefully allowing Queef to pick up that first kill. Everyone is extremely low on the side of Cetra, except for the Xayah that just came back. And Caitlyn is able to pick up the double kill. Even to 4-3-3 in the end. Olaf seems to have popped Predator. I know he does. I don't know. He's really fast. He was just way faster than I was expecting. Another nice binding out of Django. He's going to allow Caitlyn to pick up another kill onto Talia, despite Talia's flash, which didn't even make it into the brush. Not that that would have saved her. Which leads Final eSports to 11-9 in the advantage, despite being down in gold.
They have, however, cut into the enemy team's gold lead. That was a good team fight for them, especially because it did give a lot of kills over to their carry.
This teleport is extremely risky. He's teleporting onto a trap, but it looks like they positioned forward far enough that all of Final eSports got scared and just ran away. The Olaf's going to go down first, and it looks like they're abandoning Maokai to die afterwards. A nice set of traps from Queef is going to pick him up another kill and make him unstoppable on the Caitlyn for a 1-for-1 trade in the end, with several flashes burned.
It's hard to really say that either team has a definitive lead right now because while Cetra does have the gold lead, their AD carry is behind.
Yeah, but a nice play from Rakan is going to force Caitlyn to perish again under the tower. This Rakan, the difference between Rakan this game and last game is this Rakan is engaging while his team is nearby, even if they seem mildly overzealous, and that has enabled his team to pick up a lot of kills that might otherwise not have happened.
Right,
he's not loud enough? I'll turn him up.
Whenever playing Rakan, there is a certain element of risk you have to go with. To be good at Rakan, you do need to play some risky engages and hope that it works out for your team. But they've paid off a lot more for Cetra having Rakan than it did for Final eSports.
Alright, how is that, everybody? He changed his volume, I changed his volume at the same time. It had one really bad spike, and now I think it's okay. Okay. Alright. Morgana is going to come up onto the Rakan. The Rakan is waiting for the spell shield to time out, but a nice binding is going to enable Morgana to get out safely with a free pink ward kill.
You can really tell the difference in vision control when you just look at the bot side jungle for blue team. Red has a pink ward down, has several other wards down. They just have complete vision control in that jungle. It'll be difficult for Final eSports to really contest anything in that area.
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
And due to poor recall timers from the blue side, another free tower is going to go down on the side of CG.
Baron is up now. It'll be... I don't think either team has enough of a lead to really try to go for Baron at the moment.
Or enough damage to rush it, even if they catch the enemies out of position.
Right. They would... The only way I see Baron falling right now is if one team just crushes a team fight.
Need to break some new ground.
Which so far hasn't been happening. Every fight has been a trade of 3 kills to 2 or 4 kills for 3 or something. Alright, the next dragon is spawning in 43 seconds, and that has been what CG has been focusing on throughout the entire series, and especially this game with that vision you were mentioning earlier. That all being in the bottom side, they were trying to set up for dragon, but it's all timing out, except for this one ward Caitlyn's on. They had no other vision in the bot jungle anymore.
A potential source of problems for them for Final eSports is that currently their mid laner is down a full item. A death cap up on Talia could prove decisive if a team fight breaks out right now.
Fresh stone for a fresh start.
Otherwise, it looks like the remaining members are all fairly even in build. Most of them have 1 item completed. The AD carries both have 2.
A flash engage coming out of Rakan is actually going to get onto Syndra, but a nice cleanse and flash and spell shield are going to keep him to safety. Morgana's going to have to flash out as well, and the Weaver's Wall is going to separate the team with Maokai going in and Caitlyn being unable to DPS during the entire time that Maokai and Olaf are going to be tanking here. Syndra is going to be on the back line of the team, going to be in a 1v1 with Xayah actually in the end, but the blue team is going to rout the red team despite being extremely low. Rakan's going to go back in with probably not enough health to do so, but Caitlyn is focusing different target after different target and is end up going to go down to Talia's E in the very end. Nice trade kill from Maokai, but the flash is not going to get him to safety, and it's going to be 4 for 4 in the end, with both AD carries getting a few kills. And a 6-0-6 Xayah now. He's going to be able to solo the dragon out, as Xayah is a much better champion to be alive than Morgana in the end. The one benefit for Final eSports is they had a massive wave in the top side that's going to be crashing into the turrets. There's going to be a lot of CS missed out by the red side.
A bit of good fortune in the Dragons that there have not been a lot of Infernals in either game.
What I need is
Final eSports would be in a lot worse position if these were Infernals that they were losing.
Phoenix, as far as your question, we have no idea. They tell us nothing. They told us we were streaming this an hour before it happened. If they're short a person to stream it, I can do it if you tell me what day it's on, as long as it's not Wednesday. If it is already being staffed and streamed, someone probably knows that. So, I haven't a clue.
That must be a big goal difference between Talia and Syndra. Talia has both the Archangels and a death cap to Syndra's needlessly, and Seraph's.
3,000 gold lead and 2,200 is on the mid laners. You are correct. Everyone else is relatively even, except for maybe 1,000 gold and the 80 carry, but that's not a huge deal as they're both reaching their third item.
You can really tell when you look at this CS the difference here. 231 CS on Talia, 176 on Syndra. That is a big difference.
Plus the 3 turrets, the one is going to net everyone on the team a few hundred more gold. Looks like both teams are content to just farm it out and wait for the enemy to make a mistake right now. Oops, you said finals? I didn't mean to say finals. Oh, the guy that wrote it said finals. That's why I said finals. I don't know what they're in, if they're in semis as well or what.
It has been interesting that despite a pretty firm gold lead throughout most of this game, Cetra has been not getting the advantages in team fights.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's due to Morgana's bindings, chipping people out ahead of the team fight, just like that one. Like, if there's a team fight to break out right now, Renekton's on 2/3 HP, and that's a massive advantage. A nice twisted advance to dodge the knockback from Talia, but Talia has very short cooldowns, and Maokai has to run away. He might get dropped here. He's going back in to heal up off of Talia. He's probably going to have to burn ult to survive here, but he's going to get hit by the knockback in the end and taken out, solo killed by Talia. Maybe a little bit overzealous or a little bit too conservative with his ultimate, not just using it initially to run away.
And it looks like Cetra might try to take Baron off of that.
They're definitely setting up a bait at the very least. A binding is going to land, followed up by a trap. A lot of damage going down to Sejuani, but the Randuin's is going to keep her relatively safe. Renekton is flanking. Going to be a team fight that Final Esports doesn't necessarily want. A very nice flash engage out of Rakan is going to explode the entirety of Final Esports. This is for sure going to be a Baron. That's what the Wamba we were talking about last game pulled off to perfection by CG there.
You can really tell with that fight just the difference in coordination between the two teams. Cetra coordinated that fight brilliantly to drop Final Esports before they could respond. Final Esports has not been able to pull off similar coordination schemes on their end.
Even just looking at where Talia was, you could tell that they had been planning that for several seconds. They'd said, we're looking for this, we're gonna do it. And then when they did it, they were all on the same page. It wasn't oh, hey, he got it engaged, let's go now. Because Talia had already cast the wall behind them, even though it was unnecessary. It had been their plan to begin with. It seems like Olaf has gone in the top lane. So Syndra's going to be taken down in the mid lane, but Caitlyn is going to pick up the Rakan to compensate. I'd say that is still a one trade from the side of CG, but Final Esports has a lot more health left over. A flash coming out of Morgana, presumably to flash ult, but with Renekton getting away, he ended up not burning it. He's going to get his ult off there, but the redemption was a little bit too late. And Caitlyn's not here yet, so they just don't have the damage to finish off these low health members of CG. Olaf's ult was burned.
Again, for coordination, Caitlyn really needed to make that rotation at the same time. They could have dropped 2 or 3 members of Cetra had a Caitlyn been there to provide that damage.
Yeah, and as Lily pointed out, Caitlyn was just jungling.
Sometimes you have to go back.
Like, there was no reason not to be in that fight. The top lane fight was already completed. If he had just gone over to the mid lane when everyone else did, that would have for sure been a one fight to the side of Final Esports. Something huge to watch out for is the gold differential has increased between Xayah and Caitlyn. It is now almost a little over 2,000 gold, which has enabled him to pick up a Quicksilver Sash over Caitlyn. This will make the one potential they had of Morgana Bindings or Syndra Stuns to lock down Xayah a lot less likely.
And in mid lane, Talia is furthering her lead. She's now got a completed Morello Nomicon where Syndra still doesn't have a death cap.
Yeah.
And you can tell in that duel in mid lane, it is huge benefit to Talia that she is that far ahead.
That damage from Talia just shredding through Syndra's health bar. That was one hit of 1 Q. It was like 600 damage. That was insane. A very nice snipe coming out from Talia to secure that kill. Mid tower is on about 5 HP, as well as the 4th free dragon going over, including 3 Cloud Drakes, which have been buffed and are very good right now. So Cetra's going to be able to reposition a lot better outside and inside of fights. The tower is going to go down in the end.
With the next dragon being a mountain, if Cetra can get that, that adds even more power to their push potential and could allow them to close out this game.
And a fantastic Talia wall is going to separate the entire blue team from being able to defend their tower. So an inhibitor turret drops just like that. The one negative I would say about Cetra taking that last dragon is if they would have waited like 30 seconds, the next dragon would be Elder, and I think that would be better for them to try to close out the game, but it doesn't look like they're going to need it. Because they get a fantastic pick onto Caitlyn, where the Sukana is just going off over and over and over again. It looks like Xayah is going to be legendary, picking up the 2nd kill of the team fight. Renekton might have gone a little bit too deep, but he's going to make it out in the end. Xayah flashed in, Rakan accidentally into the tower, but it's probably not going to be an issue.
It's not going to matter.
Only Olaf and Syndra are alive due to the versus the 4 people on the side of CG. They are missing Rakan, they're low HP, and both Nexus turrets are still alive, but TSM Batman went too deep right there, and now he's going to drop. Now it's a 4 versus 1 for the next 12 seconds. They might not have time to end, but they're at the very least going to get this bottom inhibitor.
And this is where the gold difference in mid lane becomes really important. Syndra just cannot defend against that team with how gold
Caitlyn's going to get out there, and one more auto will pick up the kill if he can get it off. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to, so going to pop the ultimate, and Renekton accidentally jumps over it. Oh my gosh, Renekton jumped over the Caitlyn ult, trying to save his buddy, but accidentally messed it up. No Nexus turrets are going to be dropped, and the middle inhibitor turret is still alive with Baron ran out. So it was held by blue team, but with devastating losses leading to a 13k gold deficit.
Xayah has yet to die this game. It has just been phenomenal coordination by their team to keep Xayah alive in these fights. And pretty stellar play by their support to get a lot of really good picks off.
For sure. Rakan has been putting in a lot of work throughout the majority of this game, finding most of their engages that have won them these team fights. Interestingly, Sejuani picked up the red buff, probably just an oversight. Should have probably donated it to the 9-0-10-80 carry, but it more than likely won't matter. Rakan has flash up, which is a very scary thing indeed. Oh, Olaf had to burn his ult to avoid getting CC'd by the rest of the team. Sejuani wasted her ult, though, to try to pick off the Caitlyn, who had a spell shield on anyways. Maokai is getting chain CC'd over and over and over again. He does get his ult off, and it looks like he might actually be able to escape. He will. Almost all the cooldowns were burned, except on the red team side. A lot of abilities are down now, but everyone's still alive. So Final eSports has hung on in the meantime.
But Rakan still has flash and ult prepared. That could be a really bad position for Final eSports to be in.
The one benefit is no Shurelya's or Righteous Glory.
Yes, that would be a... You can really tell what makes a good Rakan player with this. It's that ability to run in quickly and get that CC off when the enemies aren't prepared for it.
The issue Final eSports is running into here is even if they're actually finally holding off this fight, the super minions are pushing in on both sides, and that's going to cause them to have to go clear the minion waves. And with only 20 seconds on Baron, I don't think they're going to be able to contest. We'll see what they end up doing. We'll see if they end up being able to clear it out enough that they feel comfortable contesting, but I imagine CG is going to rush the Baron as soon as it spawns, and it doesn't look like Final eSports is in position to fight it.
Final eSports did find themselves in a similar position in their last series. having a Caitlyn helping them defend while down and getting pushed on. The difference here is Cetra has a much stronger team and much more damage than their opponents in the last series did.
Well, Morgana went too deep. Morgana and Caitlyn both went up there. It looks like a team fight's breaking out without everyone together on the side of Final Esports. They're just running in one by one by one. Caitlyn actually flashed into the Flash W prediction from Rakan. That was amazing. I don't know how he predicted Caitlyn would flash there, and I don't know why Caitlyn did flash there. But it looks like Rakan basically single-handedly carried that fight as well, initiated the fight, burned Caitlyn's QSS to begin with, caught out Morgana, and caught Caitlyn in the very end. Just a stellar game from the bot lane of CG, and all of the team in general, but I think if I were to vote for MVP in this game, I'd pick Rakan, even over the 10-0-12 Xayah.
Yeah, I think this has been an absolute clinic on how you pull off a great Rakan game. It really is about that mobility and getting those grand entrances and the quicknesses that the enemies aren't expecting and that disrupts their ability to play.
The 2 final kills, and that'll be game number 2 going over to CG. That'll be the series, I believe. I'm fairly certain it's a best of 3. Fantastic game from CG. Can't wait to see them in the finals.
And again, looking at the post-game stats, you can tell the difference here. 14,000 damage on Syndra, 37,000 damage on Taliyah. Taliyah got a huge lead in mid lane, but you can also tell 34,000 damage for Xayah, 27,000 for Caitlyn. It was just a matter of their bot lane and mid lane being able to really carry that game.
For sure. I don't want to use Discord right now because I actually hate Discord, so I'm not going to interview anybody. But fantastic game, everybody. Thank you for watching. Please come back for the U Gold. Please come back for the finals of this. And I don't know if the other semifinal game has been played yet, but if that has to be played still, watch that. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and have a wonderful rest of your night.